Hey everyone, Mara here, and this is the day I've been waiting for, actually, to introduce you to Queen Leia. We've been orbiting around each other, is what I would say, and it was so fun because one day, a month ago, we were on a call together with Yay.
Absolutely.
And at the time, we were like, we need to connect.
Yes, yes, yes.
Grateful to have you here. Thank you so much for sharing your gifts and your light. And I'm going to pass the spotlight on to you.
Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. Well, thank you, Heather Ash. I'm so excited to be here with you all today. This is an incredible experience. And here with Heather Ash is so indicative, I think, of the energy that is 2020, which is expect the unexpected. Expect the unexpected, and we've been living through this unexpected energy, this unforeseen energy of what's going to happen next, in some ways that are very heavy, very deep, and also very necessary, very necessary. So I'm so grateful for this opportunity to share with a larger audience who I am and what I'm up to and what brings me to this crossroads in my life of reaching you, and hopefully how we can all, grow together, how we can all build together, because this is a time now in our country, this is a time now in our world where people must necessarily join forces of love, light, intention, purpose to create this beautiful world, this beautiful experience that benefits us all. So I'm going to step back a moment because I'm ready to get started, but I'm going to step back for a moment and introduce myself. I am Queen Leia Lewis. I am the founder and the visionary at Beautiful and Sacred Things, LLC. And all of those links and everything, we'll be sharing those, but you can find me at beautifulandsacredthings.com. One of the things that we are about at Beautiful and Sacred Things is creating community for women, what I call who I love and who I appreciate to be my soul sisters. It has been the journey of life and walking it together with women, other empowered women who are my elders, who are my family members, my mothers, my grandmothers, my aunts, the women who are my mentors, my coaches, my sisters, my colleagues. Just to sum it up, it has been the journey of sisterhood and the power of sisterhood that has been really at the crux of every major transformation in my life. And so now I find myself in a season where I am co-creating community with my soul sisters. We're on Facebook at Beautiful and Sacred Soul Sisters. Beautiful and Sacred Soul Sisters is the community. And what we are doing there is it's a healing space. It is a space for women to tap into spiritual gifts, to tap into and align with passion, to tap into and to connect with purpose, and to flourish in our calling. I'm a spiritualist. Now, if you'd asked me this question about 10 years ago, I wouldn't have defined myself as such. In that season of my journey, I was an arts administrator. I was very much focused on cultural work and community building work here in Louisiana. I live in a town called Shreveport, hashtag Shreveport, put it on the map, Shreveport, Louisiana. And what we were doing then was building a community oasis called Sinkofa Gardens. What began as a vision of a community garden very quickly expanded and very quickly began to multiply into a vision of creating a space where families and community members and teachers can come to teach on the land to support people in their holistic development, holistic body, mind, and spirit. So that was very much how I was defining myself 10 years. But then as I continued forward and as I took, and it's my spiritual path, I should say this, it's my spiritual development, my relationship with the Creator, my relationship with my ancestors became that much more important, that much more necessary for me to navigate the journey of life. I'm going to say it this way. My relationship with the Most High, the relationship with my ancestors, the relationship with my guides, it became necessary for me to make that primary, for me to make it primary. That's not so far removed because I was a Black girl raised in the church, right? So there's always been that matter of having a spiritual and a religious relationship. It's part of who I be. But I began giving myself permission to choose and to identify what is my authentic relationship with spirit. So I'm managing a garden. I'm working with community to build an oasis. I'm growing on my spiritual path. And then it all kind of came together as a defining moment as I was navigating one of the most difficult experiences of my life, which was a marriage that became very turbulent, which ended in divorce. Now, I'm grateful for it now. I can look at it in hindsight and see that that experience really showed up as a universal life lesson for me to learn the skills of being a wise woman, for me to own my pleasure in being a wise woman, for me to stand in my power as a wise woman, a woman who knows that she can navigate, that she can make it through difficult circumstances through, again, my relationship with land, my relationship with my ancestors, my relationship with my spirit guides, and my relationship with other women who are my sisters. So all of those things have converged. That was a long story. I hope you followed that story. But it was an experience that served to bring me to where I am now in this season of my life, which is leading beautiful and sacred things in the beautiful and sacred Soul Sisters community. So here I am now sharing with the warrior goddess women. I love it. You know, anywhere there are women of empowerment, women who are choosing to stand in power, women who are choosing to stake your claim, women who are choosing to live unapologetically, I'm with it 100%. So as we continue, I want to invite you, if you have any questions or if you have any comments or anything, just, you know, an aha moment or something resonates, just go into the chat so that this can be a little bit of a vibe, you know, so that we're dialoguing and so that we're flowing as we go. And I also just want to make certain that the concepts and the ideas that I'm sharing with you, that they have meaning. So what do I want to bring today? You know, what is important? And I have to say this, in approaching today's conversation, I went back to the foundation that carries me as a beautiful and sacred woman. And that is my relationship and my alignment with spirit, with my spirit guides, with the Most High, with creation, with earth, air, fire, water, spirit. Okay. That is the thing that has undergirded me and that has continued to carry me through every challenge, to higher heights, to being here today, to being connected with community. And so what I did was I just stopped and I prayed, right? In the sacred space of my morning routine, I took a moment to be clear. And I've been asking this question for a while, but today I was like, you know, let me like really, really hear what is it that I need to share. And sitting with my ancestors at my ancestor altar, I was like, you know, what is it? Before even I got out of bed, you know, what is it? What is the thing? What is the thing for me to share? I also use oracle cards as part of my process. So, you know, team oracle cards, if you use that, you know, that's definitely a wonderful intuitive tool to support me and that can support us in tapping into the truth that is already within us. And so I pulled a couple of cards. And so allow me to just come in my way. And excuse me also as I sniffle, but allow me to come in my way. And so in pulling the cards and asking my guides for guidance about what was important to share today, there were a couple of keywords that came up. Okay. The first card that I pulled is this card. This is the card Priest. This is from the Oracle deck of oh God, forgive me. The archetype deck. Y'all know the archetype deck. Carolyn Miss in her archetype deck. And it says here, the light attributes of the priest, a person who facilitates spiritual commitments and serves as a channel of spiritual energy. Okay, so we're going to talk about what does it mean to be the priestess of your life? What does it mean to have an energy, to have an intention of being a priestess in your life? All right. Then the next card that came up is Sinkofa. Sinkofa is a West African Adinkra symbol, which means learn from the past. And as you can see there, the bird is moving forward, but it is looking back to remember where it comes from. Sinkofa is also described or mentioned in the proverb as it is not taboo to go back and fetch it, meaning it's not taboo. There's nothing wrong with going back to claim wisdom that supports you in where you're going. And then the third card is this: surrender stubbornness. So, with these cards as a guide, what I intend to do is to weave a little bit of a story and weave a little bit of a teaching, I hope, that will support you as my beautiful and sacred soul sister, and to support you as a warrior goddess, who you are, the warrior goddess woman who you are, and understanding this experience of 2020, you know, the unexpected circumstances that have brought us to this present moment, and to have a little bit of an outlook concerning where we are going. Okay, where has 2020 brought us? What is this great mystery? As one of my beloved elders, Leia Lewis, respect to her, as she speaks about it, we are walking through the mystery. So as we are walking through the mystery, we know that we will not necessarily see everything we won't see the end completion of things, but it's important and it's necessary that we trust a power higher than us. That is what I believe, that we trust a power that is higher than us and working within us, that we trust our relationship with divine spirit, that we trust the universe, earth, air, fire, water, the fabric of the universe, and that we intrinsically trust ourselves and build trusting relationships with one another to get through this, because we've never seen the likes of such an experience as now. So let's begin with the priest. In traditional African culture, and again, I should say that I am a priestess in the tradition of my ancestors, a Black girl raised in the church who found her way, making my journey, my Sinkofa journey, all the way back to the cultural and the spiritual wisdom of my ancestors. In a traditional community, in traditional and ancient times, which carry over even into now, the role of the priest, as it says here, is to facilitate spiritual commitments that serve as a channel of spiritual energy. Very much so, that would look like this. In traditional community, which carries forward even into life today, that person who is a priest or a priestess is a person who understands that you are not alone, that you are connected with powers higher than yourself, operating within yourself, and that you are born with intention, and that you are born with purpose, and that you are born for such a time as this. So, if it is true that we have made sacred contracts in the realm of spirit, in the realm of heaven, to be born in a particular form, I'm born as a woman of African descent. I'm born of a particular family line. I'm born here in Louisiana with a lineage that goes for generations. I'm born here in the United States of America. All of those agreements, in the view of African spirituality and in the view of the priest, right, who helps people to remember these things, all of those are intentional. Though all of those things were decided in the realm of spirit. All of those things are on purpose. It is not just random that you are who you are, living the experience that you are. You chose to come here. You chose to come here, and you chose to come here now. So, what does it mean that you are here now, living in 2020, the great time of awakening, the great time of unrest, and the great time of revolution? Well, I would say that it is this. When we carry to the next point, that is an anchor of the Yoruba belief, of the Yoruba people of Nigeria, West Africa, we are to leave the world better than it was when we leave here. In other words, when you depart, when your journey in this earthly vessel has completed and you return to the realm of the ancestors, when your spirit flies away, it is necessary, and it is part of your agreement, that before you leave here, that you have made this earth a better place. So here we are now in this time when major issues that have complicated, that have even defiled, dishonored, and disrespected our reality as citizens of this country and as beings, human beings on this planet. Issues of racism, issues of poverty, issues of corruption, issues of dishonoring Mother Earth. All of these core issues are not disconnected. They are all connected. They're all connected to understanding and to appreciating and to really enjoying and relishing and celebrating the truth that we are divine, that we are divine people, that we are divine vessels, that we are vessels of spirit. Okay. When we are disconnected from our divinity, from our understanding that you are goddess in the flesh, that he is God in the flesh, that we are all children of God, that we are all made in God's image, if you will. And let me take a moment here. I'm not saying this in any religious manner. I believe that this is universal. And in my studies of different cultures, this carries across in most indigenous spiritual beliefs. Is understanding that that spark of God lives within us. We have been living a reality that has disconnected us from the truth of our divinity. And so now you, me, we are on a wonderful moment of opportunity and a wonderful moment of opportunity. Let me just call it what it is, to remember, to go back and remember, to Sankofa, to learn from the past. And this is a wonderful thing about the energy of Sinkofa. Hashtag the Sinkofa Lady. People know me as the Sinkofa Lady because our garden here in Louisiana is called Sinkofa Garden. So it's kind of interesting that this one came up, but not, I get that it came up. When we Sinkofa, we are remembering those parts of our journey that have been complicated, that have been difficult, that perhaps have been heartbreaking. But when we mine those experiences of our life for the treasure, when we mine them for the wisdom, when we seek out the intention that perhaps spirit was offering in that lesson for us to grow in character, for us to grow in confidence, for us to grow in relationship with our divinity, then it was all worth it. That's the way I see it, that it's all worth it. So at this time, I believe it's so important, sisters, I'm just going to say it that way. I just believe it's so important for us to be certain that we are remembering, seeking to remember, why am I here? Ask your experiences. Be inquisitive. Let me say this way. Be inquisitive about your experiences that you're having now in 2020 through the lens of, what does it mean? What does this mean for me in that I was chosen, or that I have decided to be born in this time? What is my part in making the world a better place right now? Because the answers are not outside of us, but the answers and the opportunities, in fact, are within us if we allow ourselves to ask. And again, facilitating and not facilitating, but being with communities that help to facilitate those questions will support you in gaining the clarity and the confidence to move boldly, to speak boldly, to act boldly, to know what is appropriate for you. All right. So let's surrender stubbornness. All right. I'm going to read this card. Stubbornness. If you're tensing up or taking a rigid stance about something, gently observe yourself and become more yielding. This will help you communicate more lovingly with others and yourself. So stubbornness is so often, let me personalize this, because I like to speak in terms of personal my personal life lessons, and to expand those life lessons to share how that they may be beneficial to other people, right? The wisdom of my journey. I have a son who is 19 years old. I have two sons, in fact. And my wonderful, marvelous 19-year-old is, in fact, a Taurus. Love to all the Tauruses. Where my Taurus is at, okay? He is, in fact, before he was even born, when I was carrying him in the womb, I had dreams of a black bull. So here comes this child into my life who is bullheaded and who has very clear opinions and very clear ideas about how he should be living his life sometimes. He's a respectful young man, but he has those characteristics of stubbornness. In my experience as a mother, I have found that when I go head to head with him, we usually get nowhere. But when I find myself to be more soft, to be more agreeable, to be more willing to listen and to hear his point of view and to hear his perspectives and why his perspectives are important to him, then that creates the fertile ground and the fertile land, the fertile space, the fertile territory where we can have a conversation about what matters to him and what matters to me. Tensing up and being rigid, right? That stubbornness can often block our blessings. Now, I know now we are living in a time where some of the biggest issues, some of the things that we consider to be perhaps our core truths, the things that we have valued, the things that we have, but the things that we have believed to be important in how the world works are being turned over. Right now, there is a blinding, shining, radiant mirror, a blinding, shining, radiant mirror that is before us, which provides us an opportunity to see ourselves. And if you are feeling rigid, if you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling that you are confronting perhaps some ideas about your life, some ideas about the way things should be, some ideas that other people are suggesting, I think the most important thing that we can do is to surrender stubbornness, is to just allow ourselves to consider, to allow other people to express their truths, to allow other people to express new ideas, new concepts, and to just be with it, to simply be with it, to not be so quick to judge and to examine and to come to a determination as to whether it's right or wrong, but simply to be with the idea. So let's wrap it all up. Let's pull it all up to let's pull it all together. 2020, the year of awakening, the year of the great reckoning, the year where I believe ultimately the line is drawn in the sand. I do believe that that a line has been drawn in the sand. And this line, the demarcations on either sides of the line are we choosing to walk in the nobility and in the higher vibration of our consciousness as divine beings, as a divine being, understanding that all people, every person has a right, a birthright to health, to wealth, to abundance, to success, to living freely, to being sovereign, to living and fulfilling the purpose for which he or she is created, and to live in a world where those things are not deliberately and intentionally blocked or held back because of false identities, false divisions that we have put in the place of certain people. And on the other side of the line, again, is flow, right? Is love, is abundance. Will we choose love? Will we choose abundance? Will we choose peace? Will we choose to honor the humanity of all people? Or will we stay stuck in a rigid system, a stubborn, a stubborn and dogmatic and even, vile way of life that has kept some people persistently at the bottom of the totem pole and other people on the top of the totem pole? You figure out where you're on the totem pole. I'm not saying, I'm not saying there's a problem with being where you are, but how do we priest? How do we priestess? How do we cultivate this relationship with ourselves and this relationship with spirit so that we can go higher? I believe really that's the question that's upon us. So that's what I wanted to share to begin. I hope you all were walking with me through this. If there are any questions at all or any comments, I would love to hear from you at this moment. And so thank you, Heather Ash. I do have a couple more things that I want to share also, but let's see if there are any questions that have come up. I'll look at the comments.
So great, Queen Leah. Thank you so much. And greetings and blessings to
you. Yes, greetings. I also want to honor one of my other elders, Iyalode Yeye Fini, Efumbola Day. I think she may be showing here today. So welcome, Yeye Fini. Welcome, Yeye Teach, if you made it. So any questions at this moment?
I have one question for you.
Okay, sure.
Audio is terrible for some reason. Your journey from being in the church, being raised in the church, to then reaching back to your ancestors and your traditions,
Yes.
the African lineage. How, I would love you to share just a little bit about that transition.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The transition really has been a beautiful transition. When I left home, and by home, I mean, the community where I lived, and went away to New Orleans to be a college student. At that point, I was already very clear in my interest to learn more. My spiritual, I guess you could even say my spiritual awakening had begun as I was walking through my, church girl experience, because I had so many questions. There were so many questions in terms of the teachings that I received, but because the culture of the church was that you don't ask questions, you just accept it for what it is. I didn't have the space to ask those questions. So when I had the freedom and autonomy as a college student, then I went, looking for those questions. I think also because I am a life path 9 and I am a Sagittarius and I am a child of Obatala, like I was already, cut out. I was already, just, inclined to the esoteric and inclined to matters of spirituality. But what it looked like in terms of, my actual experience was it was reading. It was voraciously reading lots of books, finding, there was a metaphysical bookstore, and I was a regular. I was a regular. And then just being in that environment, then my curiosity is like, oh, well, what is this incense? And what are these gemstones? And what is this yoga class? Giving myself permission to follow the interest that was already there in my heart. And then the reading and the intentional studies leading to study groups, connecting with people. Then I moved towards more African centered text and African centered information, because the two things that were happening parallel were my spiritual awakening and also a cultural awakening. And then those two things came together. And so, working with the foundation again of who I am, certain things remain true, I believe, no matter what, right? Prayer. Prayer is always going to work. The same praying that I did as a girl was the prayer that I continue to lean to in this season of my life. Now, the prayers may be different, but in fact, some of the prayers are still the same, right? So then I began to pray for support. I began to pray for elders. I began to pray for guidance. And that led me to more people, right? Those angels, those earth angels who supported me on my journey. Yeah.
Yeah, and one more question, then there's several there, which is around, and then how do you weave in, just, you are such a woman after my own heart, with the gardening and the community. So how did that weave happen?
Absolutely. So when I left New Orleans and returned back home to Shreveport, Louisiana, I was very involved in community building work, with a Black bookstore, with a cultural arts center here. And we were very interested to know how we could have even more of a presence to be meaningful in the lives of our community at large. And so through brainstorming sessions and conversations, the idea of a community garden came forward. And I was like, yeah, we should do that. I've always wanted to have a community garden or participate in one. But this is the thing that I want to connect, with each of these things, is that the impetus to have a garden also was an ancestral thing, because I'm a girl whose ancestors came from the country. My people worked the land for many generations. My parents grew up on farms. And so this idea of myself growing food was something that was very dear to my heart, and it showed up as a community work. So we decided to start this community garden. But the beautiful thing about it is that the garden became, as I mentioned, a gateway for so many other wonderful things to flourish in community. The opportunity for us to create really innovative educational programming for children with a Saturday educational school, a Saturday school that we did for the kids. And then we found ourselves doing urban farmer training. And then we found ourselves with a community farmers market. And then we found ourselves, doing seasonal celebrations, just with the one seed of an idea of starting a community garden. But that is the magic, if you will. And that's the beauty of working with Mother Nature, right? Because it's like she just wants some attention, some care, some love, some support, and then cultivating that relationship literally with the land, all of these whispers of ideas, all of this inspiration, all of this motivation of how can we do more? How can we use this resource to help even more people continue to emerge?
Beautiful.
Yes. The other thing also, Heather Ash, that's important about working with the land also from an Indigenous vantage point and also from an empowered spiritual woman vantage point is looking at the seasons and cycles of nature, right? I have learned that the more I harmonize myself with natural seasons and natural cycles, right? The more I create the success and the results that I desire in my life, maybe not effortlessly, but easily. I'm making the easily effortless, right? That's my intention, is to make the ease even more effortless, right? But there is a flow when we study the fundamental science of connecting with the seasons, knowing that, the springtime is a time for planting seeds and intention. And summer, we're nurturing and we're celebrating the flourishing of things. And in fall, we let things compost and go, die back. And then winter, we take rest. As I have, as a woman, ordered my lifestyle with those things, and as I've created more ceremony and more ritual in my life with seasonal cycles as well as with moon cycles, it's like prolific. It's the thing that I didn't know as a church girl, but I learned, when I regained my African consciousness and I Sinkofa to that indigenous wisdom. And I believe it's kind of, maybe one of the, maybe not so much a best kept secret, now that is part of the awakening that's happening in 2020 is more people are embracing the esoteric. More people are embracing those fundamental things that make us divine, right?
Yes.
We are part of creation. I'm passionate about that.
I love that. And it's so interesting. As you were talking and you pulled out the Sinkofa card, I was like, right, 2020 is hindsight.
All the way.
Whoa. So
all
of course, pause. Come on, people. Like pull the wisdom. And because it really hasn't been that long that we've been disconnected from the seasons and the cycles. Because like you said, your parents, I don't know where my parents were, or not, my ancestors were connected to the land, but it wasn't that many generations back for any of us.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's so interesting with my mother, who was a girl, like I said, raised on the farm, and decided, I don't want to do this work anymore. Like, this is just, for my ancestors, it was a matter of survival, right? Their connection with the land showed up in their daily meals, literally, right? It showed up in their medicine. It showed up in their chores, and it showed up in their habits, and it showed up in the ways that community would gather together. And so in her generation, speaking for my aunts and uncles and so many people who are now elders in their 70s, they were like, this is a lot of work. So society was shifting to this place of, what we now consider progress, right? But I believe having the Sinkofa experience, now it's like we have the opportunity of the best of all worlds, if you will. How do we, it's the convergence of the natural and the convergence of the spiritual and the convergence of technology and the convergence of community. And how do we, bring all of those parts together to fashion something that is like mind blowing, amazing, mind-blowing, beautiful, and I know I'm speaking of it even as a collective, but really it starts here. I believe the transformation always starts within. And so let each woman consider, like, what do you want? What do you want, and why are you here? Why are you here, and what do you want? And like, know that you can have that. But the power of sisterhood, the power of working with other brilliant, women, wise women, women who have charted that path to support you in creating that transformation, I believe is so key.
I really, really agree. Convergence, yes, yes, yes. There is a global shift underway. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's something that I've really just watching spiritual transformation and like where we were in the 80s, I'll say, and looking back at the 70s, like what's been happening if we look at the decades. And I felt like the last decade in the whatever that was. Decade, right? There's been this breaking down of walls between different spiritual traditions.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I felt like for so long it was like, this is my spiritual tradition, and I don't interact with any other spiritual traditions.
Right.
And I appreciate, I heard you sharing that as well, of that feeling sense of we have to drop the ways that we created separation.
Mm-hmm.
To look at, we're all part of this cycle right now.
Yes. I mean that so much. And one of the things that's been coming up in my awareness a lot, because, to state the obvious, right? I'm navigating this 2020 experience, like I said, in this flesh of being a Black woman, of African ancestry, and understanding so many of the experiences that have been a challenge, oppressive, outright dehumanizing, excuse me, to people who look like me, right? And I don't by any means intend to underappreciate, disrespect, dishonor the struggle and the movement and what people are intentionally striving towards to create change. Because in my 20s and 30s, I was a profound activist doing a lot of strong activism work. Now my work is different in a new season of my life. Now it's more spiritual activism and teaching and education and building Sinkofa gardens, building the oasis. But this is what I want to get to. There was and a lot of my understanding does happen intuitively. There was a gemstone that I kept noticing. This gemstone, the word kept popping up. I kept seeing it in different places. And I'm like, what is this gemstone? Like, let me go ahead and pay attention, since the gemstone is obviously calling me. The gemstone is called Phenokite. Are you aware of Phenokite? Have you seen that gemstone?
I haven't heard of it.
It's a modest little gemstone. It looks almost like quartz crystal. It's very small. It's very high value in terms of its pricing because of its rarity, right? So, I'm calling out to the universe for Phenokite. I receive gifts. Thank you. But as I was looking at this gemstone, because I was also looking at moldavite, I was also looking at Herkimer diamond. These are all very high ascension stones. So that this other one came on my radar makes sense. Phenokite is a gemstone that supports a person in awakening their crown chakra. Okay. And as I was further researching this stone, it also helps a person who has been disconnected from their crown chakra, which you would have evidence or some of the symptoms of the disconnection from their crown chakra is feelings of being a victim, feelings of being a victim, as well as feeling like the world is against you, which is like being a victim again, right? Victim consciousness. And also wanting to lash out because of pain, wanting to lash out because of being hurt. right? And there's much more there, but I'll just stop there. When I was looking at this particular stone, I'm speaking personally. I'm talking about Queen Leah right here. It spoke to me so much as a medicine that I need, and a medicine that will support me in my ascension, in the work that I'm here to do, and also in helping people to see a perspective in terms of what we're experiencing now. Let me say it better than this, Heather Ash. I'm gonna say it better. I'm gonna say it plain, like I say to my soul sisters. Let me say it real plain. We as a people, we as humanity, are still in this place where we have not owned the reality, as I see it and as I understand it, that we are divine beings. We are still, putting God over there and putting us over here. We still don't understand that we are all part of this oneness. We are all one. We are all, in fact, all connected. We are all things are connected. It's necessary that we not just see it as a esoteric or as a conceptual idea, but to really embody that as a truth. Like we have to get this thing up in our spirit. Like we have to get it in our consciousness that we are all connected, right? This gemstone is one ally, right? One tool to support us. But I believe that until we as human beings own this, owning our divine nature, the unfortunate outcome is that we're going to continue to cycle back through the stuff that we're going through. Do you hear what I'm saying? The oppression, the racism, the holding one another down, the I have so much that and you have hardly nothing, the sexism, all of that. We will continue to cycle through that in generations and for generations until we really take that chakra leap to awakening the crown consciousness. In Yoruba spirituality, we speak of it as Ori. Ori is the seed of your divinity. It is the seed of your destiny. It is the seed of your consciousness. It is the understanding that you were born sacred and you were born here to fulfill a purpose. So when you are seeking to align, or when you do daily rituals and daily prayers to honor your divinity, to honor your purpose, to honor your destiny, and to do what you were sent here to do, you literally hold your head and you pray and you speak to the spirit of your Ori, the spirit of your consciousness. Now, this is the thing. If God, the Most High, the Maker, the Most High Creator, right, the source of all things, has sent you and I here to fulfill a purpose, doesn't it seem to me that God would see also the universe, whatever language is comfortable for a person, that creation would align resources and align opportunities and align energies and align money or align whatever it is that is necessary for you to fulfill your purpose? Does that make sense? So if it is, so I know so if it is true, I'm asking you to kind of follow this line of thought, to those who are listening. But if it is true that you were born sacred, and if it is true that you were born with purpose, and it is true that you were born for such a time as this, I believe that this benevolent universe, this one universe that connects us all, is ready to support us and to line up those things that we need to get the work done to make the earth a better place. But because there is a blockage that many of us are experiencing between us and our connection with the Most High, we keep kind of going back through this old, we keep seeing lack. We keep seeing, attachment to programs. We keep running an old script, and it's time to just create a higher vision.
So well said.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's that place of being able to keep that alignment and vision what's possible. And I think that's where it's so hard right now, is there's so much fear and anxiety and people just burying themselves in the news right now, or in, the insanity that's happening, that there's all of this noise.
Yes.
And so we stay stuck in fear. We stay stuck in, I'm powerless. I can't take action. I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the truth is, clear the channel, you'll know exactly what you're actually do, and the resources will align.
Yes, yes, yes. And to hold that, holding that vibration, or opening up to that higher vibration, honestly, that is the work. I'm going to say that again, like that's the work, that's the work. I don't know how to say it any better than that. Like, that is really the work that we are to be doing. I know that we live in this, 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional. I don't know what D we're in now, 3D, 4D, 5D. I know we're moving so quickly through this thing, but we have existed, historically until now to think our work is, related to career, or our work is related to job, or our work is related to securing our material needs. Yes, those things are fundamental. They are fundamental, right? But let us keep a higher vision. In the church, there was this thing that says, I look to the hills from which cometh my health, my help. My help comes from the Lord, right? So I'm just saying, let us keep our sights on a higher vision of who we be. Let us keep our sights on a higher vision of humanity. Let us keep our sights on a higher vision of what is the true desire of your heart, right? And as you keep your sight on that, let your lifestyle support the higher vision. Let your words support the higher vision. Let your diet support the higher vision. Let your engagement with your children and your partner support the vision. Let how you treat one another support the higher vision. Let your, let how you talk to your neighbors. All of that. That's how we get there. That's how we, blast through all of this junk. I don't know if it's going to be a blast, Heather Ash. That's how we move. Sometimes it is a blast, and sometimes you got to wade through the water, murky water, but that's how we get there.
Yeah.
But I'm connecting back. That process, as I mentioned, of aligning ourselves with seasons, cycles and cycles supports that lifestyle. It supports the flow of the energy. Connecting with Mother Nature, it's universal energy. It is like it is the thing, right? So the more we ritualize our lives, the more I believe we will experience that flow, so that it does, so that the work, that is the work, if you will.
So beautifully spoken and so heartfelt. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for this opportunity. And I'm so excited about sharing, learning more about the Warrior Goddess Women community. I'm going to be all up into your summer camp that you have that's coming up.
Oh my gosh.
As I was reading the email, I'm like, I need the summer camp experience in my life right about now.
Yeah, totally. That's been an amazing community effort of that being pulled together.
Yes. So thank you for organizing that. And likewise, I want to invite you and your community to come visit me at Beautiful and Sacred Soul Sisters on Facebook. It is a private Facebook group, but we are loving, we are friendly, we are high vibration, and we are flourishing in our calling. That's what it's all about, learning to flourish in your calling. You have work to do in this life experience, and let's flourish in it. Let's have it with ease and effortless joy.
Beautiful. There's the Beautiful and Sacred Soul Sisters on Facebook.
Yes.
And put your website again. Sacred, I'm putting too many W's. sacredandbeautifulthings.com. So everybody go check out what Queen Leah is up to and her community. And I look forward to more pollination and inspiration and mutual support. And just thank you so much for the work that you're doing and the sacred space that you're holding, bridging land, spirit,
yes,
community.
Mm-hmm. You got it. You got it. Thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Okay.
Thanks everyone for joining us. Yes, you can watch it again later, Megan. Check it out on the videos on my Facebook page or on YouTube. Bye.
Fantastic.